I speak to you from the heart of White Lion ancestral territories, in the epicenter of UNESCO's Kruger Canyons biosphere, one of the last surviving lion ranges on the planet, and one of the most important sacred sites on Earth. Wherever I am on the globe, I speak for the white lion. But I also speak in support of all climate indicator species, the white bison of the North American plains, the spirit bear of British Columbia, the white crocodile of sacred Lake Fundutsi, the black polar bear of the melting ice caps. We live in a time of unprecedented crisis, on the brink of climactic catastrophe. What is called for now in our leadership is a specific quality. It's more than mindfulness. It's more than heartfulness. What is called for is lion-heartedness, that quality of fearlessness, inspired by love and respect for nature, that enables us to transform our world. It makes us unstoppable. Today, all conservation issues are global issues. If Brazil destroys its rainforests, the world has lost its lungs. If South Africa destroys its white lions, the world has lost its heart. And the white bison should be roaming free on the North American plains. They are the pathfinders. If America fails to protect the white bison, the world has lost its way. United across continents and across species on World Animal Day, I speak to you from Athens, Greece, Europe. The lions will roar for all of creation.
That is the call that women cry in our part of the world when they're celebrating an occasion that has come together with great success. It's called to alienate, and it's a great celebration. So at the culmination of the WIN conference, we have a lot to celebrate. I'm proud to be here. There's a lot that has shifted. But I have to ask us all a very delicate question. This is World Animal Day, and given that I am a conservationist, given that I speak for animals, I speak for the lions, I speak for the earth, can we look into our hearts and each and every one of us truly say, as we are the powerful women leaders of the future, as we are pioneering the future with our collective dreaming, can we truly say that we are shifting the patriarchal paradigm? Or have we joined it? So let us ask that again. This consumerist paradigm, which has developed over the centuries, male-dominated dominion of our planet, consumerist, extractive, winner takes all. Are we shifting it, or are we partaking of the spoils? It's an incredibly painful question, and yet we should be asking this every day because our future depends on the answer. And so, when I was generously invited to join you by Kristen, you can imagine I had to weigh up the invitation of the flight so generously paid with the cost in carbon miles to Earth. And you can see the decision I made, because I know this group, this collective of powerful women can change the paradigm. The question is, are we? So to answer that for myself, it's a question I ask myself every day in my work. But for you to understand where I am in that dialogue, that agonizing dialogue, I'd like to take you back to an event that changed my life forever. 1991, in the middle of the African wilderness, I had returned to my native lands of South Africa, and I found myself, don't ask me why, we can talk at another time, under the stars around the fire, but I found myself in the middle of a pride of lions, 24 lions in that pride. I was stranded with a group of friends. We had stupidly gone out looking to witness a lioness giving birth to cubs. Now this was 1991. Remember, South Africa had been under sanction by the world. Nelson Mandela had just been released. The Berlin Wall had come down. This is the context. So no visitors came to that part of the world. The wilderness was the wilderness. So when you were trapped in the middle of a pride of lions without radio contact, this was the days before cell phone, no one knew where we were. The moon had just, the sun had set and there was no moon. It was pitch dark and the lions were snarling and growling. One of us was going to be eaten that night. I know we have nightmares, but this was a living nightmare. And there was, in fact, no way out of that situation. We were behaving like prey, and when humans behave like a butcher shop, lions behave like predators. So it was terrifying beyond description. There was no solution. And then a miracle happened. A grandmother in traditional dress came walking on foot through the wilderness with a baby strapped to her back. And she walked straight through the lions and calmed them. I think you can feel her presence right now. That single event changed my life forever. I returned, she saved my life. I returned to my glamorous job in advertising and marketing, Paris, Milan, London, but nothing looked the same any longer. Reality was back in Africa, and this world of branding, marketing, messing with people's minds, all these material trappings were so artificial suddenly, and it took a long time for me to be brave enough to give it up. But one day, I let it all go. My job, my husband at the time, my house, everything. And then I returned to Africa to track down that amazing lion-hearted woman. And when I finally found her, she was well known in that region as the Lion Queen of Timbavati. Maria was her name. When I finally found her, she said, it's taken you a long time to wake up. But what had I woken up to was catastrophic. Lions were being stolen from the wild, these sacred white lions who belonged to that region, by a mafia network who were linked with gun running, child prostitution rings, trade in animal parts. This is what I found when I returned. And when this amazing woman finally told me that my life's work was to protect the white lions, you can imagine I said to her, but how? I mean, my opponents kill for a living. And she said to me, celebrate life. And I said, yes, but how? My opponents have guns and kill. And she said, celebrate life. She had to say it 3 times before I understood that force of celebrating life aligns with a creative force, and nothing can stop that power that comes from source. Love is the greatest force, and that's what I've found in my work for the White Lions, in service of the White Lions. You can also imagine my first question when I found this grandmother was, how did you do that? How did you walk through the lions and take your baby into the jaws of death, the grandchild? She said to me, there was no danger. And I said, but you were going to get eaten right there in front of us. And she said, no, you were the aggressor. Do you realize you took your old Land Rover into a sacred space? A lioness was giving birth to cubs in the riverbed nearby. We were hoping to view it, and we had barged into this space. The last white lion birth in that region for 2 decades was taking place. And in our ignorance, we thought they were attacking us. And she said to me, there are only 2 rules in nature: love and respect. And if you honor those 2 rules, you will never be harmed. So amazingly, these 2 rules, combined with the celebration of life, became the founding principles on which I launched my campaign to save the White Lions. And since then, the next most significant event that I'd like to share with you was her explaining to me that although humans are destroying or trying to destroy sacredness in nature, they cannot. God is stronger in nature, was her description. And she said the white lions are lions of God. They carry a message for humanity: the restoration and flourishing of ecosystems, peace on this planet. And she said, no matter what humans do, God will flourish in nature. Amazingly, despite all the horrors that I was witnessing in the rape of this ecosystem, something astounding happened which showed me that she was right. It was actually the fulfillment of a prophecy. She said, you've been trained in Cambridge University, you belong to that glamour world, that outside world. Now, do not miss the signs from nature. And astoundingly, in the year 2000, on Christmas Day, in a place called Bethlehem, South Africa, a white lion cub was born, according to the prophecy that she would need to be returned to her sacred heartlands. She was born in a death camp in Bethlehem, one of these places that removes lions from the wild and breeds them to kill them. First, the cubs are palmed out to tourists for money, and then when they are able to walk with tourists, they are traded for money, and then when they are adults, they are shot as trophies or starved to death in the now legalized international lion bone trade. So this was the context that I found myself in, that suddenly this lioness was born in one of these death camps called Bethlehem, and I made it my pilgrimage to find her and free her. It took 6 years, waging against, I won't even go there, but every imaginable obstacle. And finally, 6 years later, I released her back into the wild, together with her cubs, where her lineage flourishes to this day. I've managed you can see the force of love that drives my project. There was a very challenging decision I had to make, where I had to decide not to have my own children because I didn't want to put them at risk in this campaign to save the lions. But the lions, the love that I feel for them is equivalent to the love that a mother has for their children. So what I'd like to do is show you, I have 3 minutes to summarize my life. If we can have the first video. It's a summary of 20 years in 3 minutes. And it shows that transition from the glamour world into the world that serves Mother Nature as if she is my mother, and serves nature's animals as if they are my children.
We were in an open-backed Land Rover, and the lions were all around us, 24 lions in all. The problem was that the group panicked, and the one thing you don't do in the wild is show fear, because you become prey. People were screaming. It was mass hysteria. They didn't know how to escape from the lions. I was rescued from a pride of lions in the middle of the African bushveld by an indigenous medicine woman who walked on foot at night with a baby on her back through this pride of 24 lions to come to my rescue.
My feeling on conservation is that if there's not a monetary value on animals like Millennium over there, then why conserve them?
You tell me the difference between a lion and a chicken. A lion is an ideal farm animal.
There were times when I thought I simply could not go on. I made a pledge to her that I would not rest until I had returned her to the land that is her birthright.
Because we were talking before, and why don't you share also what the qualities of the white lions that we can learn from, and that's so needed on the planet and in us right now.
Thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. If you could put the PowerPoint on, you'll see those qualities while I speak. So the qualities of the white lions. Think of a lioness. What is the first thing you think of? A mother who has such unconditional love for her children that she will, at the expense of her own life, fight for their survival. That is the quality we need to hold within us for the survival of our planet. The sacred feminine is that within us who protects life, the continuance of life on this planet. And living with the white lions in their natural homeland, I developed a leadership model called lion-hearted leadership that truly recognizes that within many of us, if not every one of us in this room, there is that quality beyond mindfulness, beyond heartfulness, that quality of lion-heartedness. Inspired, it's a fearlessness inspired by love and respect for nature that enables us to change our world. It makes us unstoppable. And truly, this model that I hope our project is exhibiting, but also the leadership model that I teach around the planet, is igniting a movement of lion-hearted leaders across all echelons who are looking to restructure those governing structures that no longer serve our planet and to restore right relationship with Mother Earth. I believe many of you in this room are prepared to do that. So there we have the wisdom from the ecosystem assisting us in how we shift our human systems. And there is the lioness, protector of her cub. That is the future. You know, it takes a child like Greta Thunberg to speak to us of the future and how it is our responsibility to make it right for our cubs. That is the white lioness, prepared to do anything for the continuance of our planet. And I could speak more, but to understand that the wisdom of the ecosystem is highly relevant to how we structure our systems. When we talk of whole system theory, in an ecosystem, everything gives. And the white lion at the apex of the system gives back to the whole system. We now know, ecologists tell us, this is trophic cascading. They restore balance in all species, all the way down from the tip of the food chain to the earth. So when we think as we do as an organism in this room, each of us doing our unique bit to help save the planet, we are working with whole systems theory that emanates from these sacred places. And the white lions live in one of the last viable lion ranges on the planet, the UNESCO Kruger Canyons Biosphere. And I'm proud to say I live in the heart of the white lion heartlands, at the epicenter of this thriving ecosystem. May the whole world be restored through these leadership laws of the white lions. Thank you, ladies. In that last video, we have the children in my project. We call it Star Lions, community children from a previously underserved area who are flourishing through the lion principles, lion-hearted leadership principles. Let them have the last word, the children of the future, and the lions have the last roar.
Very nice. Okay.
It's time to ask the lions.
We are calling all hearts to reawake their lion heart. We are calling all hearts to be the voice of a lion. We are calling all hearts to stand up for their lion hearts. Let's unite the roar. Let's unite the roar.
The One United Raw Talent Challenge invites lion-hearted youth worldwide to sing, dance, act, speak for the lions.
Do you see that is nature praying for us to wake up?